Hey everybody, welcome back. Now we're going to get into the meats and potatoes of persuasion strategies. Now, this is Robert Cialdini's 6 Principles of Persuasion. He came up with this, I think, back in the early 70s. I want to say 1972. I read his original book. It was fantastic. Every course in persuasion, if they don't teach this, they are missing the boat. These 6 skills are the fundamentals of persuasion. Scientifically proven. They're absolutely fantastic. Robert Cialdini wrote this one book, and based on his research, he did I think it was called The Science and Principles of Persuasion. Fantastic book. If you were to go and take a course with him and learn how to do these 6 principles, he would charge you $1,000 a piece. I literally think it's a $6,000 to $8,000 course. So I'm not being facetious in any way. So the 6 areas are reciprocity, scarcity, authority, commitment, social proof, and likability. Let's jump in. Let's nail this down. Now, reciprocity. The law of reciprocity says that whatever you do for somebody, they want to do the same, plus a little bit more. Okay? So if I do something positive for you, you want to do something equally nice, equally positive, plus a little bit more. Now, of course, if I screw you, I would never do that. But if I did, or somebody else that you know ever screwed you, typically people will respond in kind. What? Plus a little bit more. So they're going to screw you as much as you screw them, plus a little bit more. So you can have positive spirals by doing something nice for somebody, and they want to do the same and a little bit more, and then you do the same and a little bit more, and you do the same and a little bit more. We call that a positive spiral. Here's a negative spiral. Somebody screws you. You screw them back. They screw you that much plus a little bit more. And then you screw them some more, and they screw you some more, and on and on and on, and they tell 2 friends about it, and so on and so on and so on. Pretty soon you've got this huge negative spiral. You never, ever, ever want to get into a negative spiral with somebody. Why? It's kind of like throwing a hot coal back and forth. To throw a hot coal at somebody, to do something negative, you got to burn your own hand first. This isn't good. There'll be 2 sets of hands, yours and theirs. I guarantee you, when you look at the burn marks, the only ones you're going to care about are yours. So getting back at somebody because they deserve it, most of the time I just let it go. Once in a while I'll set some boundaries and I'll use a little aversion therapy, so don't get me wrong. But in most cases, probably 9 out of 10 cases, I just let it go. It's not worth it. The other 1 in 10, it is appropriate to set a limit. But why don't I do it 90% of the time? I don't want to create a negative spiral. I would rather be spending, say, those 9 units of effort creating 9 more positive spirals than finally, after massive injuries to myself and the other person, feeling like I won and got back at the other person. And again, that's a 50-50 shot. I could be having 9 other wonderful, positive, growing things happening in my life. So I simply do the math. So reciprocity works. You'll see it in marketing. Very, very powerful. They use it when they give you a sample. A sample creates obligation. They feel like they need to reciprocate, like they kind of owe you one. So it's creating an obligation. So you're doing something nice for them, they want to do something nice back for you. Doing favors is a form of reciprocity. So you always want to do favors for people. Great way to get in good with people. That's creating reciprocity ahead of time that just kind of sits there and collects interest. Now they like you because you did something nice for them. That behavior, that emotion locks in over time, and they still know they owe you something, and the longer you wait to collect, the more they feel like it was sincere, and almost the more they're willing to do for you. So, reciprocity, remember, people always respond in kind. The law of reciprocity is they're going to want to do exactly what you did for them plus a little bit more, so you always win, and you want to be creating positive loops. Always try to shut down and close as quickly as you can any negative loops. The law of scarcity. This is one, hey, limited time, buy now, buy now. They'll put the counter or the timer up. You know, limited time offer. This will never be presented again. Walt Disney used to do this. Fresh from the Disney vault, this limited time offer. We will be sealing our vault. You will never be able to get this item again. You will never be able to see the story of Cinderella. Until the next time they sell it. People believe this as they went through the first 12 items. They were doing about one every 6 months to a year. And they're like, oh my God, this is so true. And I never saw it again. They're right. And then when they got to the end of their 12 major films, they start cycling again. And they're like, hey, these guys were fooling me. I was a little peeved. Scarcity works. Even when people don't believe it, in the back of their mind, they kind of believe, what if it's true? You know, that 1 in 10 times that it might be true, even if they think, oh, you know, 9 out of 10 times this is pure BS, right? They're still worried about that 1 in 10. So it always, always works. So always try to add some scarcity. Hey, there's only a few left of these. They're only left for a limited time. Well, we'll have them tomorrow, but they're going to go up in price. So this sale price is what's scarce. Yes, we have hundreds of thousands of these items, but not at this price. So always use scarcity. Powerful, powerful tool. Authority power. I get to use this. I'm a teacher. I'm a national and international teacher. I do internet marketing. I'm a therapist. I do professional training. So almost any place that I go, I'm an expert in the areas I teach, including, of course, what? Persuasion. So authority power is when we choose to unconsciously believe people just because they're in certain positions. We give them more influence over us. So whenever we can show ourselves to be an authority, and the best way to do that is to have a position or a title, that helps, but sometimes you don't have a position or title. But what you can do is you can borrow authority power. You can say, hey, I'm great at teaching persuasion strategies. And what are you going to be, a doctorate in persuasion? No. But you can say I've read over 50 books in the areas of persuasion. I've spent over 2,000 hours studying it. I've learned the tools, strategies, techniques of master persuaders. Okay. I've used it in my field. I've used it as a skill for many, many years. I've trained other people in how to use persuasion skills. This is a way to say, hey, I'm authority, and set yourself up on authority. You can do this in anything that you're selling. Say, hey, I'm a great car salesman because I know more than 98% of all the car salesmen out there. And I've done this for X number of years. I've got testimonial after testimonial. People just absolutely love their car. They're happy with me. They're happy with their service. And will tell you, I always go the extra mile for them. Ask me any question about this car. I know it from top to bottom. That's gaining authority power. You can even use celebrity. Hey, you might have seen me in this magazine or on this TV show or perhaps on my YouTube channel. You know, I've got over 20,000 followers and, 60,000 people on my Facebook and blah, blah, blah. Whatever you can do to tell the story of you, to put yourself in a position of authority, that's a great thing to do. Always do that. Very powerful. People won't defend and they will have greater confidence in everything you say. Now here's a funny little story that Cialdini tells. He tells a story about a man who complained of an earache, so the doctor prescribed eardrops for him. And the doctor wrote, place drops in our ear. He abbreviated it. Nurse thought it said place drops in rear. That was a lawsuit waiting to happen. This is when people go too far. They thought doctor couldn't possibly be wrong. He's a doctor. It says place the drops in the rear. That's what she did. This went horribly wrong. Funny, funny story. But it tells you how people don't question you when you're an authority. When you're not an authority, they tend to question everything. That's why authority power is power, because it's powerful. Commitment. People's commitments are amazingly important to them. We would have anarchy out there in society if we couldn't keep our commitments. Everything would run amok. We only know, like, and trust, and we told you how important that is, people that are consistent. So, how important are commitments? I'll tell you, I bought my house by flipping 3 other houses, taking the profits from that and buying mine. At the time, I was making about a cool $70,000 a year. But stated income, I put down that I was about $3 million. And because I signed that piece of paper, they believed me. Not because I was lying. They're like, hey, Paul, you make at least $3 million, right? Yeah. And the bank, because I signed for it, believed that a few $1,000s down, I think I put $1,000 to $2,000 down per house, and these houses were over $250,000 a piece. Because I signed for it, they believed that I would pay for it, because that signature is a commitment. It's not just because they could have police and lawyers and everybody else come after you. They believe that your signature equals your word, and your word is good when you put it in writing. As a therapist, we know that there's different levels of commitment. If you think something in your head, that's the absolute lowest level of commitment. Usually doesn't even go through. If you say something out loud to another person, that's a higher level of commitment, and the chances of you doing that go up about 100%, which means they'll probably happen about 50% of the time. If you shake on it, you'll do it about 80% of the time, and if you sign saying that you'll do it about 99% of the time. So commitments are amazingly powerful. So as you're trying to influence somebody, get small commitments. Ask them questions like, that makes sense, right? And in their mind, if you made a good argument, they'll go, yeah, that makes sense. That's a commitment saying that you're right. That takes you up on the selling scale of moving this idea forward that you want to influence them about. When I get clients to say, hey, if you were to try this for 3 days, you could pull that off, right? And they go, yeah, I could probably pull that off. I say, great, now say it again without the probably. Why? I'm increasing the level of commitment. I'm taking out the wishy-washy words, the back doors. I could try. I could do a little bit of this or that. You want to get out all the wishy-washy words. It's a higher level of commitment. I say, fantastic. 3 days? Let's shake on it. Why? I'm trying to get a higher level of commitment. Sometimes I want a higher level of commitment. What do? I put it in their treatment plan. I have them sign here. See how you can get different levels of commitment? You can do that in selling. You can do that with friends. Getting somebody to shake on it, getting somebody to say it. These are all lower level, but they're very, very powerful, and they will take people up the scale. So commitment is absolutely huge. Here's a little supporting evidence about why people's commitment is so huge. What terms do we use for people that aren't consistent? Well, they're wishy-washy, they're unreliable, they're two-faced, they're untrustworthy, they're devious, they're erratic, they're shifty, you know? You'll see these used in the news when they want to make you think somebody's inconsistent. They'll say, oh, well, that congressman, he's a flip-flopper. They just want to show you that the person's inconsistent. You can throw a word out like that, and it doesn't matter if they're a flip-flopper or not. That'll get in your brain and start you thinking that this person isn't reliable or trustworthy. No evidence of that, but see how powerful commitment is? We want commitment from people. We want to know that we can trust people. It's huge. Now finally, along commitment, we have progressive commitments. You know, I said with the addicts, we had recovery was simple. You just had to change everything. What I did is I had them do it, you know, kind of one step at a time. You know, stop drinking. That's the first step. Okay. Then I want you to not hang out with your using friends. Okay. Then I want you to go to some A and NA meetings. Okay. Then I want you to get a sponsor. Then I want you to read your big book. I want to make sure you're coming to this group, you know, a couple times a week. I want you to be more honest and open in your life. So we took them step by step by step. When I was doing this with weight loss with people, I would say, okay, here's all I want you to do. Very simple weight loss thing. I want you to eat everything that you're eating right now, but I want you to switch out your sugar for stevia. It's a natural, no-calorie sweetener. Perfect. By doing that, you'll probably lose, 1 or 2 pounds a week. Great. But it's a very low level of commitment. Later, I'll say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to go out once a day for a 5-minute walk. Then I would increase it in 10 minutes and 15 minutes, you know. If that was too long for them, they didn't like to go for that long a walk, I'd say, okay, let's do 2 5-minute walks during the day. Can you do that? Later, while you're watching some TV, I want you to get some hand weights. Do that just for 2 or 3 minutes. Get a small commitment. Maybe later they go to 5, or they come back and say, hey, Paul, 2 or 3 minutes. I was doing 5, 10 minutes. You told me to do it once a day. I was doing it twice a day. You give them credit for it. So you have them go through different levels of progressive commitment, and you walk them through it. And you give them great praise, and you always blame all the good things that happen on them. So progressive commitment can be also the language that they use. If you did this for a week, do you think it might work? Yeah, it might work. Later I'll ask them, hey, if you did this for a week, do you think it would probably work? Probably is stronger than might. Later on I'll say, you're a pretty smart guy. You know if you did this for 3 days, this would work, right? And they go, yep. progressive levels of commitment. Dozens and dozens of different ways you can use this. Get creative. It's a powerful, powerful tool. Remember, commitment is a powerful strategy. Make sure you incorporate it as you're using your tools of influence.